One of the best ways to learn in the recording studio is to sit with someone and watch them work. If you're new here, my name's Jacob, and I've been running a commercial recording studio for 5 years here in Virginia. And today, I want to go into a session and talk about some vocal processing. I'm going to add the Spotify link to this song in the description. This session is from last year. My friend Lily and I, we tracked some vocals and some guitars, and she took these tracks home to mix and continue the production. So let's take a look at it.
Ven a los lugares escondidos de mi corazón. Ven a los lugares escondidos de mi corazón. Tú ves todos mis deseos, todo lo que anhelo. Tú nunca te olvidas de mí.
So right off the bat, the vocals sound really nice. Let's start off by adding an 1176 to her vocal. And before we dial in this compressor, you want to make sure that it's not adding any unnecessary gain to the signal. So you want to make sure that you're not preferring the change in loudness, that you're actually preferring the effect or the plugin that you're inserting on the track. You'll notice as we dial it in, it's going to get louder, and then we're going to adjust for that.
Ven a los lugares escondidos de mi corazón. Ven a los lugares escondidos de mi corazón. Tú ves todos mis deseos, todo lo que anhelo. Tú nunca te olvidas de mí.
So you can hear we've got the compressor dialed in, and it's sounding nice, around 3 to 5 decibels of gain reduction with a peak around 7 decibels of gain reduction. But if you notice these waveforms to the right, you can see her vocal performance gets more dynamic as the song goes on. So let's see what happens with these same settings later in the song.
Voy en la montaña y no me soltarás. Tú nunca lo has hecho y no.
Later in the song, we start hitting the compressor a lot harder because the performance is more dynamic. And we're riding the fine line. We're about to start adding artifacts from hitting this compressor hard, and personally, that is not what I like to do, so I'm going to highlight this entire region, and I'm going to use Control Shift and up or down on the arrow pad to bring the clip gain of the clip down. And clip gain is a pre-insert effect, meaning that it's happening before any inserts on your track, meaning that it's before the compressor. Let's take a look.
Voy en la montaña y no me soltarás. Tú nunca lo has hecho y no empezarás.
Perfect. So now we're closer to where we were at the beginning of the song, about 3 to 5 decibels of gain reduction with peaks around 7 decibels of gain reduction. So let's take this a step further, and you'll see we can actually also clip gain up a performance as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this quieter section, bring that up, and I'm even going to bring up this phrase. It's probably fallen behind. And let's take this down. And if you're wondering how much the gain is changing every time I'm using that shortcut, if you go up to Setup and Preferences, in the Editing tab, you can change your clip gain nudge value. I don't remember what the stock Pro Tools nudge value is. I set mine to 0.5 decibel. And sometimes if I'm editing something different, I may change it to something else depending on what I need. To me, that value is a really flexible thing. So it sounds really nice. We're controlling the dynamics going into the compressor to allow the compressor to engage more evenly. And we're getting a really controlled sound utilizing just one compressor, and it doesn't sound overly compressed at the same time. And so it's also really common to distribute the total amount of gain reduction from one compressor across 2 compressors. And that way we can utilize as much compression as we want without it sounding over compressed. So let's dial in our box.
Ven a los lugares escondidos de mi corazón. Ven a los lugares escondidos de mi corazón. Tú ves todos mis deseos.
And right now I'm just adjusting for the amount of gain that we're adding.
Tú ves todos mis deseos. Tú ves todos mis deseos. Todo lo que anhelo.
And so you can hear, we're able to control the dynamics of the vocal by utilizing clip gain and about 10 decibels total of gain reduction across 2 compressors, and it sounds really transparent and again, really controlled. And personally, that's what I go for when I'm mixing. And so like we said earlier, her sibilance is really, really nice. It's not super harsh, which has to do with her voice, of course, also the pairing between her voice and the microphone. But let's take a look at some of these spots so you can see some tools that you can use within your own mixes. Let's take a look at the sibilant noise right here in this phrase.
Ven a los lugares escondidos de mi corazón.
So this sibilant phrase sticks out to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight it and use Command E to separate this clip from the rest of the region. And I'm doing that because I'm going to open Clip Effects. We talked about Clip Effects in our last video, but I'll give you a quick rundown. We can adjust the gain similar to clip gain. We also have a multi-band EQ, some filter options, and some dynamic options. But in this case, we can use the EQ, and we can use it to manually de-ess this vocal. So I'm going to start just by bringing this down here. In this specific example, we've got 2 sibilant noises happening one after the other, and I find that using clip effects is really nice for addressing sibilant noises like this. And you'll notice it feels like the volume has gone down on the sibilant noise as well, and that's because EQ is a dynamic effect. We need to be aware of that change in volume as well. It's also easy for things to start sounding unnatural, you know, if a sibilant noise is quieter than the rest. So let's take a look. Let's get some context on this. I might even go in on this sibilant noise as well and just do some quick adjustments. And you'll notice you can also use clip gain on sibilant noises as well. And when you start pairing clip gain and clip effects together, you can get a lot of control over the fine detail artifacts that you're going to find in a vocal. And now you'll notice we actually have these clips separated from the region, and we need to crossfade them. So we can highlight the entire region, use Command F, and we can open up the batch fade window. Now we can apply it, and you can take a look, and it added crossfades everywhere we needed crossfades. And let's jump into our final tool, and it's probably one of my favorite ones, and that is the pencil tool. So first, let's look at the section of the song before we jump into using the tool. So you can see these transient points before each phrase of the vocal. And to me, this one right here sticks out the most, and I feel as if it could pull the listener out of the mix. So let's zoom in on it and see what's going on. So you can see we've got some sort of clicker pop going on in the vocal, and we can address this by utilizing the pencil tool in Pro Tools, and we can just draw the waveform. And now let's listen back to it. Nice, and that took away that transient quality a lot and didn't make you feel it in your ears as much, but you could still hear it. If you had any questions about anything you saw in this video today, feel free to drop it in the comment. If you have any video suggestions, I'd love to hear it as well. And thank you all for watching this video.